Well, a very warm welcome and just about ready to get things underway here from the NASDAQ Sports Complex in Lusaka as we await the matchup between Johannesburg Giants and the Basket Hounds from Zimbabwe. Welcome to the FIBA broadcast of day number 2 from the road to the B.A.L. in this Division East Group E competition. We're a little bit later than everybody else, but once we've gotten started, we already had a very nice first day of competition. And then without a picture. Standing by. Appear to be back live. We got a picture coming in from Lusaka, and hopefully we'll be able to keep that up and steady throughout the stream. Bear with us, and we'll try to do the best we can to bring you the sights and sounds from the NASDAQ Sports Complex. Just getting the starting lineups now. I had a look at the officials for today's matchup. And once again, day number 2 in the competition. And if it's the first day was any indication why today should be even more competitive, we had a couple of really good ball games yesterday. We did have really only one blowout, and unfortunately, the victim of said blowout were the Basket Hounds from Zimbabwe. So today is really going to be a pivotal day for the team from Zimbabwe. They're going to need to really step up their game, or it could turn out to be a very trying stay for them in Lusaka for this road to the B.A.L. tournament. Once again, Basket Hounds having a tough old time of it. Went down by a count of 94-60 to Ferroviária de Beira from Mozambique, and they were really in a class of their own, overwhelming the Basket Hounds from start to finish. Josh Thomas, 24 points. Ayad Mugwambi had 12 rebounds as Beira really dominated the game, especially on the glass, 64-52. Hounds will look to do better on that. Giants fared better as they bested the team from Malawi, the Bravehearts. Made their road to the B.A.L. debut efficient with a 67-49 victory. Flush Gwenya saw his Giants show a lot of defensive discipline, good bend, good depth, and look to see more of the same today out of his team. Peter Prinsloo and Sibione, the big men, really anchoring the paint. And Tolo and Nino Dim able to control the tempo, and spirited return by Bravehearts, but not enough to get them over the hump, and just couldn't get enough consistent play to really challenge the Giants in the end. And Johannesburg able to cruise home to a victory. Of course, this being the early game, 12 o'clock local time tip-off. Out of bed early today. And we've talked yesterday about the need to be the team that recovers the best after a journey to Lusaka. There have been delays, and travel was never going to be an easy feature of coming to visit. Of course, that's going to help the Matero Magic very much so, but we'll talk about them later in the broadcast. But for now, we're really kind of looking to see how the basket Hounds will rebound, if you will. And I don't mean by taking the ball off the backboard. I mean by being able to have gotten back to the hotel, talked about what went wrong, but most importantly, rest up and really get a fresh start on today. And of course, the same thing applies to the Giants. How did they recuperate? Were they able to get their feet up, or were they able to rest up for today? These early matches require some extra preparation just in terms of getting your breakfast in, getting over to the venue and all that, and just a little bit more of a hurried morning to it all. So we shall see which team had the better opportunity to get prepared for today's matchup, as Johannesburg will look back on a successful first day, managed to notch a victory in an 18-point differential, which is certainly helpful, and try to keep pace with Ferroviária de Beira. As de Beira opening up with that very impressive and very useful 34-point differential. And as we look to today, one thing that did shine yesterday was the dominance of the Southern African teams, as Zambia, Mozambique, and South Africa all started with wins. And the Giants, perhaps the most striking thing was the discipline of the team, and looked very cohesive and very professional in their victory yesterday. And for the Hounds, really need to discover some rhythm today to stay alive for the race for the Elite 16. Certainly not eliminated by any means, but they're going to have to get off the hump and get to work early and often today if they're going to be able to unseat Giants. Just final checks before our umpire lofts the ball into the air to get things well and truly underway. Good to see the supporters and viewers trickling into the chat. Keep an eye out for you. Tell me where you're from and who you're barracking for if it's not obvious. Try to do a couple of shout outs throughout the match. We had a good crowd in here for both games for both teams yesterday. Very good support, very sportsmanlike, and a lot of fun, even when the picture quality wasn't all that good. Speak of the devil, the commentator's curse striking again. And hopefully we'll get not as many of those instances. So we're underway. Giants trying to put up the first shot of the game. Shot for distance from Prinsloo, and he lights up the scoreboard with a three-pointer. Ball out of bounds. And indeed still the property of the team from Harare. Jada getting things started. Chikwengo. And over to the far wing. Chikwengo tries one from just behind the arc as time expires on the shot clock, and they equalize. A good timing and a good shot, and the basket Hounds are hounding for the buckets right out of the gate. Penetration for the Giants, but unable to get it to fall. And the Hounds notched their second basket of the ball game. Prinsloo didn't have the range on that shot. Just trying to get that quick in transition, but the Giants were already home to roost. Does not stop the big man for the Hounds driving in on Prinsloo. Trying to work a little bit of the same, but Chikoko says, Giants still control. And the pass down into the low post is errant and goes out of bounds. So nice stuff by Chikoko. Can't get it to fall. Giants. The trailer dishes off to the perimeter. Shot is up and no good. Well, the theft that started at midcourt is completed in the forecourt. And the Giants control. Bring the ball back over the timeline. To see what was happening with the Giants when you get a rim shaker like that. Well, that was a long way to go for Malong, but he wanted a very circuitous path to the basket and ends up rounding it off very nicely. Here's that big man matchup that's going to be really nice to see play out. This time score one for the Giants as Peterslow applying the defensive body pressure. Close the board. And another nice drive to the basket laid in perfectly. Giants starting to flex their muscles a little bit. 9-7 is the count. Pam, so far so good. Not really a slideshow, not the best quality we'd like to bring you, but we can follow it for the time being. Substitution. And a trip to the charity stripe capitalized on. In the first of two. Two for two. Zomwa's trip to the free throw line is successful. At the horn. And whether it fell or not was always going to be academic. The official waving the shot off, classifying it after the horn had sounded. Foul called on the Hounds. That will send Ozabor to the line. Joshua had a good day for himself yesterday. Let's take a moment to have a little huddle at the center circle. Now they're back ready to watch Ozobar's free throw attempt. Zomar going along the perimeter. Morris wants to claim possession, saying that it was touched last by the Giants, and he's found to be correct by the arbitrage. Timeout called on the floor. So certainly a far better start for the Basket Hounds than yesterday, and looking very good and very refreshed. And we talked about our question mark as to whether they could get themselves rested up after the defeat yesterday to the team from Mozambique and turn up ready to play against the Giants. And I think so far the answer would have to be a resounding yes. We'll see how that holds up through the rest of the ball game. But the Giants looking just a little bit sleepy as they still wiping the matter out of their eyes. See if they can't return to what got them over the hump yesterday. Number one, with that defensive discipline, and using Prinsloo, Simeone, and Reed to really dominate the paint and the glass, and let Tolo and Dim dictate the tempo of the ball game. Seem to have shaken off the shooting cobwebs. It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this first quarter plays out for the team from Zimbabwe. Jada pulls up, pops one from distance. And the Giants awarded possession. Long relinquishes through Dim to the perimeter. Low post. Prinsloo trying to dictate his will. Coming up against some stiff opposition, but he's fouled in the act of shooting and will head to the free throw line. First of a two-shot trip to the charity stripe is successful. The second one falls in succession. Shot partially blocked and controlled by the Jaybird Giants. Pulling up for a nice three. Nino Dim can't get it to fall. Chikwengo. Zoma all by himself. He repositions and nails one. Good looking jumper from Innocent Zoma. Drive without any particular destination for Ozabor. Simeone with a trip to the free throw line. Very effective penetration and a classy finish from Najada. Spark plug of the team is Tanaka Najada. Traveling violation called against the Giants. And momentum changing. I'm inclined to direct you to the scoreboard for the score. It seems like the score bug on screen lags just a little bit. Shot and a foul. Live action. Hounds trying to pad the lead. They've managed to eke out against the Giants. Kicked away by Innocent Zoma. Float one up and off the glass. And finds himself fouled in the act of shooting. Does Simeone. Sonati will head to the free throw line. Awarded 2 free throws by the officials. 2 of 2 goes Nati Sibignoni. We are all knotted up at 15 apiece. Njata pulls up and nails the three-pointer. Now this is a tale of 2 days as the Hounds have well and truly woken up, and they are biting at the ankles this morning. Giants find themselves in a good old-fashioned scrap. Ozabor driving and fouled, and will head back to the charity stripe. Prinsloo was getting manhandled in trying to keep Vitalis Chikoko away from the net. Chikoko draws the foul and will head to the free throw line. Prinsloo will check out of the ball game. And by anybody's recollection, Zimbabwe's top pro, Vitalis Chikoko, 34-year-old at the line. Big presence on the court. Drains the first of 2 free throws. And the left-hander puts the second one through in succession. Just over a minute remaining here in the first stanza. And losing the handle is Nati Sibignoni. A turnover and opportunity with 1:01 left on the clock for the Hounds. Preserve a little bit of that time. I'm sure they would love to finish up a quarter on top of the score sheet. Dish back to Muzevwa. Muzevwa pulls up. And just a little bit off target. Seconds remaining. Ooh, and the Giants think they might have been shortchanged. They thought for sure that out-of-bounds ball was going to be their property. And I guess there's much ado about nothing, as that's the way it's now been adjudicated. Round off the first quarter with a lead. Losing the handle is Nino Dim. That opened Opens the door for basket Hounds to close out the first period on a positive note. Vezwa. Around the horn was Najada. Najada thought twice about penetrating, pulls up, and in doing so is just stuffed. A couple of seconds remaining. We've got a timeout called just before the horn, so this would be an interesting situation as try to get up one last shot before the horn signaling the end of the first period of play. Draw up something good, coach. You always need that one buzzer beater play that can get you a bucket with little or no time remaining on the clock. Of course, the clue is to get that quick release. I'm assuming the clock is going to be reset to at least 1 second. When we get a wider shot, we'll get a chance to have a look at that. So Flosh Nguyen getting the Giants what they need to know. And my apologies, I'm going to retract what I was originally talking about, which was, of course, nonsense. I'm, by the way, off-site, so I have the same, I'm commentating the same pictures you see, so sometimes without a clear view of exactly what's going on, I have to take a little bit of a guess. The first quarter did end, in fact, and that's why the extended timeout. I thought we'd actually had a timeout called, but as you can see, the game clock has been reset. And total confusion will set in a second because you see that the teams have swapped sides. Shot put up from the dead hook corner, just out of camera range. Giants looking to continue what they set out in the first period. Good looking power basket for the South African side. Working against Muzetva. Chasing him down all the way the opposite side. Very nice runner along the baseline. And the reverse layup looking very good for Malong. Steady outside shooter, but when he wants to, he can definitely go inside with it. Wrap around at the other end of the court, less successful for the Hounds. Well, the internet gods have decided to smile upon us for the time being. Just time to see the Hounds miss an opportunity under the basket. Ooh, and a big-time rejection at the far end. As Tolo thought he'd been given a free pass to the rim. The basket Hounds saying, not so fast. So 23-20 is in fact the correct count by all scoreboards available. As we get a timeout on the floor and a chance for both coaches to have a little bit of a powwow with the teams. Coach Namu Tombwe, having a discussion with the basket Hounds. And really must be a lot happier about the place that they're in as opposed to yesterday. Of course, that was really baptism by fire going up against the powerhouse team from Mozambique. Just really summarily shut down the Hounds in all phases of the game. And for the Giants, much bigger challenge today than what they got yesterday from the Bravehearts. We'll see the Bravehearts up for the second matchup of the day as they will take on Dolphins at the 2 p.m. local time tip-off. And before all is said and done, I'll give you the rest of the schedule for these two teams throughout the tournament. Just an absolutely delightful inbounder and rounded off by Nino Dim with the slam. An emphatic way to get things started off the timeout. Ball inside low post. Chikoko deferred, and that was costly as they turn the ball over. There's the board, waiting for the screen. And a very delayed pick and roll. Prinsloo kicks it back out to the top of the circle. Turnaround jumper just off target. Rebound, however, for the Hounds. I believe in cinematography that's known as a jump cut. Continued apologies for some of the delays. We've also had some power issues at the NASDAQ Sports Complex today. We'll do the best we can. Up over 300 viewers at the moment. Testament to the good support base that both these teams enjoy. Having fun watching your comments come by on the screen, in the chat. Jayberg starting to cobble out a little bit bigger lead. 27-20 at the moment. Zoma defers. That time Zoma took matters into his own hands and a very nice penetration. His opposite number found himself in a bit of strife down in the Giants' forecourt. Off the screen, Pinslow pulls up and drains a three-pointer. 32-20 now the count. Trading buckets now as things start to really heat up here in the second quarter. Both offenses starting to get that targeting down, Pat. For now, it's Jayberg that's enjoying a healthy advantage. Pull up for three, won't fall. Good save and a wonderful opportunity. But defense along the baseline for the Giants very much up to task. Here's the third opportunity. They say third time's the charm. You know, don't tell that to the Giants defense, and they convert at the other end on a quick transition. Ozabor going coast to coast. And Tawanda Namutambwe has seen enough for the moment, calls a timeout. Thought he might get the ball back. No such things on offer. And an unforced error for Giants. Sloppiness will cost them possession. 4:21 to go. And the Giants enjoying a 15-point lead, but they cannot get careless with the round ball. Pull up three. Off. Good save once again for the Basket Hounds, but they lose it just as quickly. Zabor driving, no call on the play. Vezwa. And as quickly as they got a little bit hot, the Hounds have cooled off. The Giants continue to apply pressure. Peterslow from distance, this time not. important basket for the Hounds as they need to stay in touch here in the waning minutes of the second quarter. Hounds doing his level best to try to keep the pressure applied offensively. And that is exactly what I mean by the offensive pressure of the Giants. Just continuously able to find the bucket from both the perimeter and underneath. And starting to outclass the team from Zimbabwe a little bit. Yeah. Commentators curse, as of course they'll prove me wrong and score a good bucket underneath. Turns, tries to wheel and deal, but patience, or the patience of Chikoko is rewarded as he ends up denying Ozabor yet another basket. Lovely lay-in from Nemo Dim. And that's also an important dynamic of that offense for the Giants. A lot of participations, good balance of scoring from all participants on the floor. A violation and a turnover, exactly not what the doctor ordered for the Basket Hounds. And we'll get a substitution. 1:52 left to go. 42-26 the count now as the score bug catches up. Tried to force the issue to the Basket Hounds. Turns out to be a costly mistake. Giants trying to light it up from distance yet once again. Vesua could have thought better about trying to put that one back up immediately. With the leave to Tawenga. Tawenga steps back, looked like he was going to pop a three. Drive, layup, and a foul. And Nino Dim will head to the free throw line. Giants look to extend the lead here just before the pause. Dim, the 24-year-old. In fact, will turn 25 next week. Early happy birthday, November 6th, I believe. Dim's birthday. Tawenga. Lovely breakaway layup. this is cause for concern for the Hounds. They're going to have some things to talk about at halftime, especially sloppiness on the ball. Giants, one last chance, three-pointer up, no good. Now that will end the first half of play. Well, it was evenly pitched through roughly the first period of play, but eventually Johannesburg Giants start pulling away, and it's really going to be down to the Hounds to recollect and try to find some of that balance and some of the scoring possibilities they had in the early going to get themselves back into the ball game. I believe the actual score is 48-29, but I'm not going to split hairs. And we will take a brief pause and be back for the second half. You're watching the road to the B.A.L. here on FIBA's YouTube channel. We'll be back after halftime. Welcome back for the second half, where after 2 quarters of play, Johannesburg Giants leading the Basket Hounds by a tally of 47-29. Things got off to a good start for both sides, but in the end, especially in the latter stage of the second quarter, Giants able to put some distance between themselves and the Basket Hounds. So really a question now for the team from Zimbabwe as to what kind of resilience they may have. Of course, they lost their opener yesterday, and a loss today would all but eliminate the chance that they would be able to move on to the Elite 16. Whereas the Giants, having an opening day win, would fancy themselves amongst the elite here in Group E, along with the likes of Matero Magic and Ferroviário de Beira, all of whom we will see later today. Those last 2 teams mentioned will play this evening. That should be a very interesting matchup as well. Next up today on the broadcast with the 2 p.m. tip-off, Bravehearts versus Dolphins. But for now, Giants just about ready to inbound it to get things started here in the third quarter of play. Zabor, who had a wonderful first half of play, looking to keep the tempo up. The man who started, opened up the account for South Africa, does so in the second half as Prinsloo pulls up and buries a trace to get things underway on the score sheet for the Giants. Chikwingo looking for options. Trip down to the baseline and now into the paint. And really a scrappy 2-pointer, but effective at that for the team from Zimbabwe. Turnover as the big Giant got hung up with nowhere to go. There's a rejection down at the glass as Ozabor getting up and deflecting. Ball kicked into the corner. So we're unable to convert. Very quick transition and finding a way around Prinsloo is Vitalis Chikoko for his first bucket of the half. Driving an arcing shot that will not drop, but Joshua Ozabor will enjoy a all expenses paid trip to the free throw line. It's the first one of 2 to fall. As Jayberg now up and over the half-century mark. Second one a little stickier, but Sibagnoni comes up with the rebound, and he's wrestled. So Giants will stay in possession. Foul against the Hounds. Away from ball, foul called against the Giants now. Good ball circulation, nice pump into the middle and just can't convert it. And Chikoko trying to force the issue underneath. Get an opportunity to rack up a couple of points here from the free throw line. In and out for Chikoko. Despite that big old frame, has a nice soft touch on his free throws. And the southpaw just can't find the stroke on this trip. Quick transition for the Giants. Now they settle into their offense. Zabor, Prinsloo leaves it for Dim. Dim can't complete the connection, but will have the opportunity to do so unfettered from the foul line. Wingo. Chikoko tries to pull up and bust one, unable. And another shot from distance for Peter Prinsloo, the journeyman. His basketball career has taken him to many parts around the globe. And once again, he played some college ball for Marist in the United States. Comes up short on that one and drops back into defense. Hounds looking to try to stay in touch. Well, that must have really been a foul because Prinsloo doesn't like to concede anything to the officials. Very emotional ball player, likes to get very involved with the arbitrage. He conceded that one very quickly. Innocent Zoma at the line for the Basket Hounds. 1 of 2. Zoma chips away at the deficit. It's a good toss into the low post. And Nati Sibagnoni was fouled in the act of trying to convert. And green shoes and all, he'll toe the charity stripe and try to nail it. You know, the Hounds are being tenacious. And that may just be the thing that will keep them around. Because they're not experiencing a whole lot of luck in shooting. Second and third chances will be rewarded. And now Clayton Chikwengo heads to the free throw line. And if this is the way they're going to have to impact the score sheet, they're going to have to be very effective from the charity stripe. Now applying a lot of pressure, triple team pays up, and we got a jump ball. Hounds had the possession Pull-up jumper, falls well short of target. Rebound by Dim, quick transition up the floor. Ball kicked out. Try from distance for Najada. Fingertip roll. Adds another 2 to the Jayberg side of the score sheet. There's something we haven't seen in a while. Successful three-point try from the basket Hounds. Foul. Zabor. Joshua connects on the first of 2. And apparently on the second of 2. Absolute lovely cut, and the assist is pristine. Good looking basket all around for the basket Hounds. It's the first we've seen of Reed in the ball game for the Giants. Very mobile big. Gets rid of it quickly just before the shot clock. Unable to connect. Squandered opportunity for the Hounds. Zabor pulls up for 3, just offline. Najada tries to try his own luck over the opposite side of the court. Foul before. Just under 3 minutes left to go, and you'd have to think that Hounds would do themselves well to try to do something about that structural 20-point deficit they're spotting the Giants. Clawing their way back a bit, so that they could at least go into the fourth quarter within some sort of touch of the Giants and whittle down that lead over the remaining 10 minutes of the ball game. Otherwise, it's going to be a real tough slog for the fellas from Zimbabwe through the rest of the tournament. Set by Reed. Everything goes awry, ball out of bounds. It'll be Giants ball. Dim. Zabor goes into a double team. That leaves Dim wide open. He's unable to get it off in time. Hounds really in need of a couple of unanswered baskets. Of course, that's not what the doctor ordered. 2 minutes left now, and the Hounds with another chance. Just not a well thought out strategy. Zabor leaves, good assist. Ungreedy Malong with the finish, and the Giants continue to just hang around that 20-point lead, which is going to be a real thorn in the side of the Hounds in the fourth quarter. You can trade baskets all they want now, but unless they really chip away at the Giants lead, step in the right direction. Good looking bucket from Queshwa. Zabor with a little fingertip that just won't go. And a foul is called against the Hounds. A couple of substitutions just before the quarter break. Nino Dim at the line, shooting a pair. With a classy finish. Under a minute now. Giants being very methodical. Time off the clock. Tawenga tried to leave a package on the back porch, but was fouled in the process. We'll head to the line, shoot a couple. Not seen much of Joshua Tawenga. Real high energy forward. Nails the first of two. And finds the fuzzy bits at the bottom of the net on the second one as well. Just about a half minute left to go. And we'll get the ball back. Just not a good look. Wenga slows things down. Tolo, real tempo controller from the team. One last chance before the break, and that's a promising end of the quarter if that's the last made basket. The Giants have other thoughts about it, but time expires here in the third quarter. 65-49 is certainly more promising than what it could have been. And as I said, if they could cut into that 20-point deficit and get themselves a little bit back in the same postal code as the Giants, why the Hounds could make a run at it in the fourth. It's going to take a lot of courage and a lot of energy. And the Giants will now discuss the strategy to bleed out the clock and keep any sort of rally from the basket Hounds well in check in the fourth quarter. Well, the fourth and, of course, final quarter. And a big one for both teams, but especially for the basket Hounds, with no indication of wanting to let up. Very similar to the finish yesterday against Bravehearts. Bravehearts fought valiantly, as their name would certainly imply, but were unable to crack what had become a fairly structural deficit. And the Giants able to finish with a fairly substantial win. And of course, the Hounds really got sent home with their tail between their legs, both proverbially and literally, as they were outclassed by Mozambique's Ferroviario de Beira. Vitalis Chikoko did not come all the way to Lusaka to be out of the tournament after the second day. But it's going to fall largely on his substantial shoulders, together with some more of that veteran leadership in the Zimbabwean side, to get them back into the fold. Prinsloo backing in, skirts it out to the perimeter, in and out. Could open a coffee shop with all those rolls. Well, ask and you shall receive. Vitalis Chikoko, all 2 meters and 7 of them, driving to the hoop to keep the hopes of the Hounds alive. Winslow needs to reset the calibration on his three-point shots. These are the kind of chances that the Hounds have to capitalize on. Missed basket at the other end, need to score here. Drive to the hoop and up and in. (67-52), 15-point ball game. A couple more of those. Winslow looked like he almost traveled. Goes aboard, gets himself jammed up in the paint. And a turnover on the foul against the Giants. So here's another one of those opportunities. They cannot squander any of them. That may be a slight exaggeration, but not by far. Need to take advantage of every unforced error the Giants give them, because they will not give them many. Njata on the wing to Morris. Morris has been silent, not anymore. Kamali Morris puts his stamp on the score sheet. All of a sudden, it's a single-digit ball game. Giants gone cold. Winslow drives this time. Once again, looked like he might take another step. That's what we're talking about. If you're going to be in the ball game, the run of unanswered points is really turning this into an interesting ball game. Timeout called. And Tawanda Namutambwe is going to have a little discussion with his charges over on the Basket Hounds bench. Exactly what he needs to be at this moment. Needs to be animated but collected and measured. And without knowing a word of what he's saying, the body language looks very, very good. You even see the import Morris buying in. Feeling like he was back on the bench at Cedar Valley. Chikoko, the big fella, doing what veterans do, talking to the other guys, keeping their confidence up. And they're the two key players at this moment, in my guesstimation, for the Basket Hounds, Morris and Chikoko. Giants looking to shake off the slump they found themselves in. Winslow, another step backer. Winslow's dry spell from the arc is not helping the Giants matter at all. A quick blocking foul rung up against the Giants. is now an interesting game of the making. Chikoko trying to turn on Prinsloo. He's stripped of the ball. There's a tangle on the hardwoods, and the Giants come up with it. Drive to the basket, shot and a foul. And the Giants will see Nemo Dim head to the free throw line to try to answer the unanswered points run of the Basket Hounds. Dim's first is not the answer they're looking for. And finally, the Giants get a little scribble on the score sheet. It's been a minute. Morris shoots the ball back to the top of the key. And what would have fallen a minute ago for the Hounds suddenly is not going in for them. Prinsloo, his three-point dry spell continues. Floating one-hander won't go, and now all of a sudden the Hounds have found themselves in a drought again. Wrong timing for that. Under 6 minutes. 5:45 yet to go. Simeone has to look for some other alternatives. Drive the paint, rewarded with a shot clock violation, and just for good measure, Chikoko swats it away. There's a shot from distance. Ninjata. Ten-point ball game, 5 to go. And a no-point trip, no-point possession for the Giants. These opportunities are starting to become really crucial, because at a certain point the clock is going to join the Giants as the nemesis of the Basket Hounds. But with 9 points, they're still very much in touch. Ball movement, kicked out to the perimeter. Good own rebound. And the Giants will have to get their points the old-fashioned way. They'll have to earn them. Nati Simeone headed to the free throw line. Try to get that lead to double digits. They've just gone stone cold over the past couple of minutes, have the Giants. So we're up to 450 viewers, which is good, tuning in here for the culmination as we get a couple of substitutions off the free throws. And you're missing you're not missing, you're tuning in at the right moment if you just joined us. This has turned into a fairly interesting battle here in the late stages. Long run of unanswered points for the Zimbabweans has really been able to get them back in the ballgame against the South Africans, and a shot from distance as time expires. And get a reset off the offensive rebound and another chance. And that's very important because that was a squandered opportunity. We're getting an over and back. Good defensive pressure by the Giants, and a forced error. And a forced turnover at that. And yeah, it's inbounded from your own side of the timeline. Board. Such an important factor for the Giants today as yesterday. Goes back up with left, gets it to fall. Crucial kinds of buckets for the Giants. Jada fouled as he had his eyes set on the rim. So I believe we had a technical call fouled on the Giants coach, Flush Ngenwa. Got himself in trouble with the officials, and that's a costly error. Although the Hounds don't really, well, until now, they get the good save of the rebound, and I could be very much corrected. If they can turn this possession into a positive, and they seem to have squandered it all the same. 11-point margin with 2:41, and all that transpiring under 3 minutes, and that's just a bad time for that all to happen. So Ngwenya will be relieved to see that the technical foul did not result in any major damage to the Giants' lead. And they'll have to get right down to business with actions like that to start to seal this deal. Three-pointer would help nicely, and it does for the Hounds. Johannesburg looking to respond. Lovely drive, just couldn't get the finish. Sibinyani. There's Morris trying to earn his keep. Once again, good control of the tempo for Johannesburg. Driving, spinning, and finally getting floored. Is Ozabar. Joshua will head to the free throw line, and these will be some pretty important baskets. Couple more at the 1:31 mark, and could be well and truly done for the day. He's backhand. Prinsloo can absolutely not help himself but to get animated with the officials. Saw a lot more of it yesterday. He was more measured and controlled today, but he had to get his 2 cents worth in. So a timeout and a chance to calibrate strategy for the remainder of the ball game for both teams, really. 12-point deficit. It's going to be a big ask for the Hounds. They've done themselves well to whittle it all the way down to 7. But the Giants really, once again, showing the class. And just a little bit more of what was needed. And that probably will get them over the hump. Standing in their way are a bunch of hungry ball players from Zimbabwe. They did not come here to be all but eliminated after day 2. And expect to see a fair bit of fight out of the Hounds here in the last minute and a half. Tombwe certainly didn't come here to exit after 2 rounds. Morris to inbound. This would be a clutch basket on this possession. Najada. Morris was waiting, but Najara took it down low. Morris takes it at the top of the key. Najada, no. However, offensive rebound after the horn, a reset. Najada's rejected inside. Difficult to see whose big long arm that was. But a transition basket is denied by the Hounds, but it's going to cost them a foul and a trip to the charity stripe. Prinsloo with a big rejection and letting the air out of the ball now. And I think that we're not going to get any sort of miracle. As the time truly has become the opponent of the team from Zimbabwe. So a timeout gives me the opportunity to remind you that at 2 p.m. Lusaka time, we'll start up the second ball game of day number 2, and that'll be between Bravehearts and Dolphins. And of course, Bravehearts of Malawi and the Dolphins of Botswana. And we'll finish up the day with the big guns coming out as Ferroviario de Beira will face off against Zambian home side Matero Magic. Expect a raucous crowd for that one. And for these two clubs tomorrow, for Joburg, it will be another morning start. They'll play the early fixture at 11 local time. And the Basket Hounds will be on tap for the hometown favorites, Matero Magic, at the 5 p.m. local tip-off on day number 3. And a turnover should all but seal the deal for the Giants. They were tested to the very end of the ball game, and credit where credit is due to the Hounds. They hounded the Giants. They just didn't catch their prey in the end. And it's going to be a tough loss for the team from Zimbabwe. They did themselves and their nation proud. But for today, it will be the victory for the South African side. And the Giants from Joburg will enjoy their second straight victory in this Group E tournament from Lusaka. Scorers table conferring with the officials. Don't know if it's a scoring issue or a timing issue, but we need to get both of those correct, of course. Peter Prinsloo wants to get back to the room and get his feet up. He's had enough for today. Played a lot of the ballgame. I know it one, but yesterday he got himself a little bit of early foul trouble. Too early. But today really played the lion's share of the minutes in the pivot. I can imagine he would like a rest, as do all the players today. There are a lot of great individual efforts. Apologies for cheating you out of the last 9 seconds, but it was all over but for the formalities. 79-65, your final count from the NASDAQ Center as the Johannesburg Giants win against the Basket Hounds. And for Joburg, a 2-0 record for the Hounds, 0-2. And will be a tough slog for the team from Zimbabwe, but they've done themselves proud today and probably will feel better with their performance today than yesterday against the Mozambican side. So for now, we'll take our leave and take a break. We'll be back for the 2 p.m. tip-off between Bravehearts and Dolphins. Hope to see you back then. Until then, bye-bye.